So we all know the most important part of the golf, the trajectory, flight, start path is what's happening at impact. So we really need to make sure our impact is something that's consistent, something that is based around the proper geometry of swinging a golf club. We know, as I showed you in my other videos, a baseball player comes and swings around this way. It's exactly what the golf swing is close to, but on the ground level. When we have the ball on the ground, everyone feels like they have to be coming over this way and get onto the ball. And we see the result of that. The body stops, hands take over, and there's a lot of club movement around. That's where most of the bad shots come from. So in my videos I talked a lot about this shallower entry, and what that is, retouch it real quickly. Shallower entry with the forearms nice and rotated, gets this right elbow in tight, keeps our shoulders closed off, so we can learn to rotate that club back into impact. Now what we see today with a lot of the lighter equipment and the players of today, the lighter equipment, they don't get this rotation. They start to pull the club down more because it's light. They can't feel the head, they can't use the weight of the head in their swing. So they come down steeper, their shoulders get too square to the target too soon. And what they're doing is they're not rotating the club into impact, they are pulling it down, then they have nowhere to go. So we see this action through the ball. So that is really causing a lot of trouble at impact with the club face. It can be here, it can be that way, could be square, could be backwards, could be leaning too far forward. So I hear a lot about a flat left wrist at impact. Now, flat left wrist is not something that has to be strived for. It happens just like the back of a plane. It's a vapor trail or something else. Don't try to do it. It just happens on its own accord if you do the other stuff correctly. So I hear a lot of people teaching, and I've seen it on YouTube, seen it on videos. Well, I've got a flat left wrist, they say. But their body is stalling. There's no way you can time that face onto that ball squarely each and every time by just trying to create a flat left wrist. The flat left wrist comes from shallow approach, weight over my right side, forearms and body rotating all in unison, flat left wrist. It's right there. It happens because of something else, not from trying to do it. It's much more consistent, much easier to do because we're not stopping one part of our body to make the flat left wrist happen. It comes along as a result of all the turning, rotation work that we're doing with our body and our forearms and our wrists and of the club. So that's the goal. Much easier than you probably believe it to be. Become steep, we're going to slap, and then we're going to hold, and we're going to flip to try and create the speed again with the club. So it's hard down, stop, hold, flip. That's basically what we see in just about everyone. It's, the good players get away with it because they can practice it, can time it, but they're not really revered for their ball striking. Not very many of them these days. So 1 minute they're hot, next minute they're cold. It's all because of that. You look at the better players of the past when they had a bit more weight in their club. I know I harp on that, but it's very disheartening to see the way the equipment's gone, that everyone has been sucked into light means distance. Sure, it does. Something lighter, you can swing it faster, but you're giving up all your control by using something lighter. And that's what these club makers of today have really misunderstood and got away from. In the past, all the best clubs were made by best golfers. Tony Pena, Tommy Armour, Ben Hogan, all these golfers, real golfers, made the equipment. And then it branched off into scientific people that started to make the clubs, and all they were interested in was a selling point, which was distance. But you can see it's really hurt everyone's control and accuracy, and their swings deteriorate more and more over time, because swinging something like this, very, I can't engage my feet properly. I can just swing with my hands more. If I had something a bit heavier, I've got to use my whole body movement to get the club through the ball. So the flat left wrist comes about from learning to rotate. Body rotates out of the way, my hands lead. Very simple. Shoulders are opening up through the ball. As soon as my shoulders stop, I'm coming down too steep here, I'm going to flip. So there's my wrist gone already. So it takes a lot of timing, a lot of practice, a lot of heartache to do that on a consistent basis. And we hit good shots, we hit bad shots, and it's just luck of the draw as to how we're feeling, how we're being able to time it that day. The more we're letting everything work together, the more our body turns the club through, the straighter the club face stays into impact, we get the wrist positions that we're after, where the hands are just leading the club through, and keep on turning. Obviously, if we're after a flat left wrist through impact, we need to have a bent right wrist. And this again coincides with what I talked about. The more I come from here, from behind, keeping the club behind me. This was our target path. I'm keeping the club nice behind, so I can then use my speed to rotate and pressure that club back into impact. That's what we're trying to do. We don't want to waste our pressure coming up here, because then we run out of steam and we start doing all that type of stuff. It's just not going to help us on a day-to-day golfing round of getting better. We might play 2 holes good and 6 bad, and then all of a sudden we've got it back again. And that's why, because it's timing that make that happen. When we're swinging the club more from around us, we're rotating, forcing that club back onto the proper plane all the way through, not letting that club roll around. Not letting that club roll around. So left, flat left wrist, bent right wrist. That's what it looks like when we talk about. That's flat and that's bent. And that, again, the right hand comes along. Same thing as a result of being shallow, behind the ball, forearms rotated, pressuring that club into impact. So our body turns out of the way and our right wrist stays bent. And the right elbow, right arm plays a huge role in this. I'll show you a bunch of pictures, and you've seen them before from what I talk about on my videos. When that right arm straightens, gets off the body here, that right elbow gets off the body, right arm straightens, club wants to hit behind the ball. We react to that by trying to flex so we don't do that. Flick, right arm straightens, club goes off target this way, target that way, could go straight. So there's a lot of variables in that. So this right elbow is key. Hogan did this unbelievably well. Videos keeping that right elbow almost glued to his side. So his right arm is bent. Not straightening whatsoever. And the bent arm supports the club and holds it on the path on the way through. When that straightens, that becomes a dump, and the club flies off path, so we lose our control. Even though it happens after impact, it's a result of something that's happening back here, and it just doesn't help matters. Really bent right wrist coincides with the bent right arm. If I straighten my right arm out, you can see now I've got a flat right wrist. So I've lost this angle that I'm trying to preserve. Holding it with a bent right arm, bent, straighten it, it's flat. Very basic concept, very easy stuff. Hard to do with all the momentum of the golf swing going on. So that's what I teach, is that the golf swing is about pressures. It's about forces, it's about opposites. Something wants to happen, you've got to fight it, do it another way. You've got to come in from one way to be able to exit the right way. A lot of different things going on. Because it's supported by all these great players. It's supported by Hogan and Trevino. All these, the two of the most revered ball strikers ever. It's supported by them. Faldo, Nick Price. This concept or this thought of the golf swing, whether they knew what they were doing or not, they did it. And it supports exactly what I'm talking about. So it's a great way to learn, work towards. Obviously it's hard to do it. Like I said, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. You've got to learn to put all those together. My good friend John Erickson, he explained this very well. He said the golf swing is like learning the guitar. So if I learnt 6 chords on the guitar and just learn them all at once and then just played them, I wouldn't, it'd be a jumbled mess. If I learn the chords in the correct sequence, they become a tune, and that's what we're doing with the golf swing. Information, visit bradleyhughesgolf.com and advancedballstriking.com/forum.